Daleks, aim for the eye stalk. Sontarans, back of the neck. Vashta Nerada. Run.
The Doctor's faced some of the most powerful and twisted villains imaginable. Time after time he's beaten the brute force of the Daleks, outwitted the genius of the Toymaker. He's even defeated the devil himself. The man is so dangerous the universe came together and tried to lock him away for the rest of time. So when a Doctor comes up against a villain and has only one solution...
River Song, lovely name. As you're leaving, and you're leaving now, you need to set up a quarantine beacon, code all the planet, the whole planet, nobody comes here, not ever again, not one living thing, not here, not ever, stop right there!
You know you're dealing with something truly terrifying, but not terrifying in the conventional sense, not the way they look or some twisted motivations. The Vashta Nerada might be one of the most terrifying villains in the entire Whoniverse, more so for what you can't see than what you can. What are you supposed to do when you're faced with a million life forms right before your eyes, and yet not a sound?
A million life forms. And silence in the library.
And that's just in one place. Trillions upon trillions of Vashta Nerada living on billions upon billions of planets across the universe, even here on Earth.
What do you mean most planets? Not Earth?
Earth. A billion other worlds.
If they were on Earth, we'd know.
Nah. Normally they live on roadkill. Sometimes people go missing. Not everyone comes back out of the dark.
All microscopic beings capable of ripping flesh from the bone in milliseconds, just lurking somewhere in the darkness. It's an existential level fear. The entire fabric of the universe is basically woven with these flesh-eating monsters all around us.
Why, there's meat, there's Vashta Nerada.
So many they're basically capable of swallowing the entire universe in an instant. That's why their very existence has moulded the instincts of millions of species across the universe.
Almost every species in the universe has an irrational fear of the dark, but they're wrong. Because it's not irrational. It's Vashta Nerada.
They don't prey on our instinctive fear of the dark or the unknown like the weeping angels do. They are our fear of the dark. That's why we never grew out of the instincts of our ancestors. That lion, wolf or enemy soldier lurking in the night, transformed into concrete houses, technology and a developed society. Yet still our fear of the dark remains just as strong, because the real danger never went away. That deep-rooted chill that convinces our minds there's a demon chasing us up the stairs the moment we turn out the lights downstairs. Or that impulse to switch on a light at the faintest sound. They're deeply ingrained instincts that compel us to act, because unconsciously we know it could be Vashta Nerada. It's insane they haven't explored this concept more than the two parts they did in 2008. Just look at how juicy some of the spin-off works were. Like in the Day of the Vashta Nerada, where the Time Lord sponsored a team of scientists to engineer a super weapon that can eat through Dalekanium, but accidentally end up creating a super species dubbed Nerada Vashta that thrive in light. Imagine what could happen if a new species escaped and ended up expanding across the universe. You'd have a world where Vashta Nerada could hunt day and night relentlessly. Literally nowhere would be safe. Even the concept of using them as a weapon itself, talk about a shot in the dark, because that's basically all it could be when you're playing with something so dangerous. It shows just how desperate they were to win the Time War, because if you have a swarm of Vashta Nerada capable of chewing through Dalekanium, they could basically destroy anything at that point. And then there's the night of the Vashta Nerada, his first ever encounter where the 4th Doctor landed on a theme park planet called Funworld, and the entire construction crew vanished midway through development. It turned out the project destroyed an entire forest world, and the Vashta Nerada weren't too pleased with trading their homes and the woodland creatures they preyed on for teacups and a log flume ride. Although I'd say it's a pretty fair trade. It's not our fault they're too short to make the rides.
You must be this tall to ride this ride?
But after discovering the Vashta Nerada were responsible, and narrowly escaping with only 2 expedition members, he sent out a distress signal warning anyone and everyone around to stay away from this planet, there's something terrible dwelled within. He tried to do exactly the same thing in the library before he realised they couldn't get back to the TARDIS in time. But what's interesting is at the end of Funworld, when Donnelly, Stell and the Doctor escaped the planet, they realised Donnelly's earthbound ship was infested with Vashta Nerada, and the Doctor was desperate to stop them reaching Earth, in fear the hostile swarm would turn the docile swarm on Earth just as ravenous. But it makes sense. The Vashta Nerada aren't as insect-like as I first thought, given how they communicate with the Doctor through Proper Dave's neural link. It shows they have some semblance of consciousness. They're more than just locusts of the universe. Maybe that's why the Doctor is so afraid of the hostile swarm meeting the docile one. If they're able to communicate, and one swarm snowballs into another, imagine a ball of Vashta Nerada swarming from planet to planet, growing larger and larger, leaving nothing but death and destruction in its wake. That's the universal equivalent of the apocalypse right there. The only weakness I could find was being slowed down by light, and what happened at the end of the night of the Vashta Nerada, when Stell poisoned herself as they devoured her, which ended up killing them along with herself. It has potential if you could trick them into consuming it, or use some poor soul as bait, but having to sacrifice yourself in order to take them down with you isn't exactly the ideal exploit. It's just lucky the Vashta Nerada only turn so hostile when their homes are destroyed. Even though there clearly is some consciousness there, they're almost insect-like in how they defend their colony, like bees defending a hive, or even a virus fighting to survive. As soon as they turn, they're relentless.
These are our forests. We are not kind. These are our forests. They are our meat.
Even swarming against thousands of innocent people in the library, and the Funwell construction crew, who were only really acting on behalf of someone else. But that's just another reason to fear them, especially for humans on Earth. All the time we're cutting down tree after tree for land and resources, we could be moments away from extinction. And the Doctor knows this, which makes it even more insane. He knows that even now some humans walk into the darkness, never to be seen again. There's just nothing he can do about it. But even knowing what we do now, I still have so many questions. Like, can they turn docile again after becoming hostile? Say their forests were destroyed in some kind of war or natural disaster, and they turned hostile to survive, but eventually the forest grew back. Would that defensiveness and aggression still hold? Would they eventually forget? I guess that speaks to how conscious they truly are. And on that note, I also found their conversation with the Doctor a bit strange. Like, do they think and communicate via a hive mind? Or is that the TARDIS's translation device working wonders by translating the will of the Vashta Nerada into coherent speech, rather than actual language? If each separate swarm can generate sentience, then where is the hub of consciousness actually coming from? And an even more unsettling thought is if the Vashta Nerada are just microscopic spores that grow from trees, does that mean they just keep on growing? Year after year, millions and millions more Vashta Nerada being spawned. Maybe one day they'll run out of roadkill. Maybe one day you'll walk into the darkness, never to return again. Do the Vashta Nerada make the top 5 scariest villains for your list? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time.
Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream.